Namaskar, friends. I welcome you all to the Hindu editorial analysis on September 26, 2023. First of all, let me take the data point article, which is pointing fingers at a very crucial issue today children are facing, that is online addiction to the social media and the gaming media. WhatsApp, Instagram, PUBG, and all are very familiar with our kids. And look at the timing, more than 3 hours they spent on social media and the online gaming platforms. The title of the article is over 60% urban kids spend 3 hours on entertain daily on entertainment apps. Mind you, over 60% of the urban children spend on entertainment apps, and this is a very harking figure. Parents complain that and even agree to it that 70% of the parents agree to it that the children of the age between 9 and 17 need parental consent before accessing any kind of social media. Most parents agree that the age for access without consent for children to the social media must be minimum 15. And many parents are complaining that their children are exposed to anxiety, depression, and anger. Mostly, it is seen that the children become hyperactive and anger, and even they are having anxiety and depression. This has to be tackled. This data point is pointing out a very crucial figure, and this has to be taken seriously. Is what the purpose of the data point is being spelled out. The editorial article titled "It is a Long Way to Women's Equality" by Mary E. John is a very good pointer towards what happened during the formation of the Constitution of India. There were women groups which were formed, and the women groups were consulted on whether they required any special electorate. While aftermath the independence, there was the question of women giving separate electorates. These separate electorates were aimed at making the women elected to the legislatures, state legislatures, and the parliament. During the post independence era, there were lots of issues to be resorted, and separate electorates based on religion was highly demanding. It was then the women gave up their demand for separate electorates and separate representation to the assemblies and the parliaments. It is on this backdrop to discuss this. It is a long road to women's equality by Mary E. John is being given in the article. This editorial article is discussing how the women groups formed after the independence just gave up their idea of having any kind of special reservation in the constitution by way of constitution, and then suffered in 1930 after the abolition of the Pune Act. The women found that in 1971 the women found that they are now forming a new minority, and the writer is expressing concerns whether the women's reservation bill, which is of a self-congratulatory nature of the ruling party, will become even a reality by 2029. These kinds of concerns are very genuine because while the constitution was framed, When the women gave up their reservation demands, they were sidelined, and the years later saw that this sidelining continued, and by 1970s, the women were no longer representing anywhere. The moribund local authorities where the women were given some status, the representation and reservation during the 1990s was a quick solace from the shocking reality of 1970s. And this editorial article, it is a long road to women's equality by Mary E. John, is a quick pointer to the priorities which we must set for women. That is it, and this article deserves special attention. M.K. Narayanan, we are fortunate to have M.K. Narayanan write an article on G20 diplomacy and a shifting world order. M.K. Narayanan is the former director of Intelligence Bureau, the former governor of West Bengal, and former national security advisor. We are gifted to have such writers, and his take on G20 and the New Delhi Declaration and the outcome of G20 is widely discussed in the editorial column in today's Hindu. He is saying that it is quite appreciable that India clinched the New Delhi Declaration with all difficulties, and compromise as a way of solving issues was emphasized. However, it has to be seen that while countering China, China has its own resilience, which means that the shock absorber is there with China. China can absorb any kind of shock. It has shown it to the West in the previous attempts to denigrate China. Therefore, India should be cautious while mingling hands with the West to counter China, because China and Russia as a separate bloc, the expansionism dreams of Russia is strongly supported by China, and this is being formed as a separate bloc. And North Korea joining the bloc, it's becoming a very hegemonic issue in the South Asia. What happens now is that while joining hands with the West and the West's ambition of NATO and Quad Summit, India is a part too. And these things are trying to counter the invasion of Russia and China. However, it must be remembered that it is a wishful thinking. Before this thing can be actually implemented with the help of US and the West, if before it can be implemented, it must be seen that whether this is countering the Cheri Chera movement. The Cheri Chera movement, that is non-alignment, which was the Naam movement, which was the Jawaharlal Nehru's favorite, and he was a founding member of the non-alignment movement. India was the founding member owing to Jawaharlal Nehru. Whether this is countering the non-alignment movement approach of India, joining hands with West and the US and countering China has its own limitations. This article also points that in 1990s, the India was a founding member of the G20. 1999, the G20 was formed and India was a founding member. In 2002, India was widely recognized, and what started as a congregation of the finance ministers and heads of the defense ministers Now it has come to a geopolitical order and a summit. And every year G20 summits are being held. But what in the New Delhi declaration, Russia was given a leeway, what is contrasting with the Bali summit where Russia was accused. The last Bali summit of G20 accused Russia. However, in the New Delhi declaration, Russia is given a leeway. All these issues are widely discussed in this article, G20 Diplomacy and a Shifting World Order. Yes, the world order is shifting, and G20 Diplomacy, how far it is keeping pace with this shifting world order has to be. The Artificial Intelligence Summit is going to be held in India this October. India is also a global partner of Artificial Intelligence Alliance, and the global partnership of Artificial Intelligence Alliance is also being going to be conducted in India in December. In this backdrop, this article, another article in the OpenNet column, Children, a key yet missed demographic in AI regulation. This has reference to the Personal Data Protection Act recently passed. The children are exposed to the artificial intelligence applications which are not designed for them. The ready-made packaged artificial intelligence, the user interface and user exchange which happens UI and UX, where the children are the other end, the reception end. The adequate protection in the Data Privacy Protection Act has been given or not has to be analyzed. It's not given. Then the article takes a strong objection to the attempt by several people to portray the parental affection towards children by posting many personal photos of children and personal achievements of children in their social media posts. This article is saying that such type of incidents have to be cautiously watched because artificial intelligence has got an exploitative character. It can exploit whatever you post on the social media, and the kind of cyber crimes which are going to come with this artificial intelligence exploitation of the data is threatening. Therefore, the government must see to it that the difficulty in governance over the demographic picture of India, and a small portion of which forms the children, have to be adequately protected. That's what this article, Children, a key yet missed demographic in AI regulation, is telling. The key editorial article, War in the Caucasus, has to be carefully analyzed and read. The entire game plan Azerbaijan is playing with its Armenian neighbor is unfolded with this editorial article, War in the Caucasus. Nagorno Karabakh is a portion which Azerbaijan is deliberately holding with the help from Turkey. Stepanakert, the biggest city in Nagorno Karabakh, is in the hands of Azerbaijan. During the closer periods of Soviet Union's fragmentation, Azerbaijan, with the help of Turkey, wanted to have its supremacy over Stepanakert. It has blockaded this city, making lakhs and lakhs of people the refugees of Armenia. What this Azerbaijan is having the kind of vengeance upon Armenia and its territorial ambitions of over Armenia and the Caucasus Mountain, which is of interest in this region. Caucasus Mountain in this region has got the interests of US, Russia, and Turkey. We know from the mythology, we know that Prometheus was tied to the Caucasus Mountain, and Prometheus was punished by pinning to the Caucasus Mountain. So, Caucasus Mountain is of great interest to US, Russia, and Azerbaijan as well as Turkey. Turkey is playing behind it. However, Russia is not so much keenly interested to protect Armenia. It is showing less interest to protect Armenia. Therefore, the world order is looking at Azerbaijan for its ingressions towards Armenia in the Stepanakert region. It is playing genocides, the gross violence and the gross negligence which is shown by Russia. The violence of Azerbaijan is just silently tolerated. This is not fair. If it crosses a limit, the world will step in, and mind you, US is already there. The editorial article, Expertise over Politics, is about the Kaveri issue. There are three authorities: Kaveri Water Management Authority, Kaveri Water Management Tribunal, and the court, who are the triangularly involved in the Kaveri issue. Last day, the apex court has just expressed its denial of any involvement in the Kaveri Water Management Authority's verdict on releasing 3,000 cusecs of water to Tamil Nadu by Karnataka. Karnataka went to the top court saying that the water, especially the rainwater, the rains were very much dismal this time. The southwest monsoon did not perform well. Therefore, we have some difficulty in releasing water to Tamil Nadu. The Tamil Nadu objected by saying that the distress period is more over them and they need water for their usual purposes. So, this 3,000 cusecs of water has to be released. However, at the same time, since this is a matter which is being protracted for so long, what has to be done is that the distress studies have to be conducted. The distress studies which will take into account the periods of gloom when the water is at scarcity due to the less availability of southwest monsoons. This factor has to be taken into account while delivering verdict on how much water has to be released to Tamil Nadu on this issue. When there are torrential rains, the natural way is to release the downstream Kaveri to Tamil Nadu and thereby deluging Tamil Nadu and making them happy. However, during the years of distress, there are no precedents or the already established norms which say that what must be done. So, pondering over this issue is the need of the hour, is what expertise over politics is trying to say. Friends, I have gone through almost all the articles, editorial articles, and the open column articles, which would be very much useful for understanding our society, the country, the relations between countries, the geopolitics, the emergence of artificial intelligence and its impact on children, and the post COVID hanger of children on the social media and the applications which are doing the rounds for games as well as the social media like Instagram and WhatsApp, and the rights of women to representation, adequate representation in the parliament and assemblies are far away, is what discussed. These topics will make us the revolve around many issues and make a mindset to face the contemporary world with confidence. My dear friends, with these words, let me conclude for today. We'll meet you tomorrow with the another round of topics which will be appearing in tomorrow's Hindu. Till then, bye, good night.